Hi everybody, welcome to another Chats with Chaudhry. I hope you're safe and well. It's a glorious sunny day here in Surrey today, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Klaus Ullherr, I hope I pronounced that correctly, who is the Senior Product Manager at Syntegon. And today we're going to talk about the current and future trends in small batch filling. So Klaus, it's lovely to finally actually talk to you. I've seen you, but actually, last time I saw you was at the PDA annual event, which was virtual. We were at a virtual table, and I could see and hear you. And I think you couldn't see me, but you could see my name on
Absolutely,
the thing, and you can hear me, which is very, very frustrating. The wonders of virtual conferences. But it's lovely to finally meet you. How are you?
yeah. Finally, thank you, Rizwan, and it's great to be here. As I said in our previous conversation, I think I know you already because I'm following you on LinkedIn for sure, seeing your interviews, and really I admire your work, I have to say. And as you said, finally we meet each other, and I hope and I'm sure that we will do that in person. Maybe not this year, but next year. I hope so.
Well, let's certainly hope so. And thank you very much for the kind words. Well, I have to say, likewise, having seen a lot of your posts on LinkedIn as well, I think I know you, Klaus, and also seen your presentations at all the various ISPE and PDA events
Thank
and
you.
other events as well. So it's lovely to finally meet you. Before we start talking about small batch filling, perhaps you could give viewers a very quick overview of Syntegon if they're not familiar with the company, and also a bit about your background.
Okay. Yeah, so as you know, Syntegon, it's a pharma Bosch packaging technology. And when it comes to my work, I'm sitting in Crailsheim, Germany. There, the focus is on fill finish and inspection also in the meanwhile. And when I'm talking about fill finish, it's the vial, ampule, syringe, cartridges, all these primary packaging materials. Typical, you have washer, tunnel, filling machine. And for sure, for the pre-sterilized syringes, and in the meanwhile also vials and cartridges, we have the back opening, tap opening, and then also the fill finish machine. So this is what we are doing. For sure, Syntegon is bigger. We have other pharma sites for sure, and we have the food part as well. So I'm personally focused on the fill finish business here in Crailsheim, and there especially on the pre-sterilized syringes, vials, and cartridges. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, let's start with a very basic question for those who are not familiar with it. What actually is small batch filling?
Yeah, small batch filling, that's an excellent question. And this is when you have smaller batch sizes, and now small and is not necessarily small what somebody else has in mind. So it's starting from some hundred up to 5,000, 10,000, 15,000. I would say this is roughly a batch size that is very common, which leads to machine outputs from, let's say, if you start at the very small with 5 per minute up to 60 a minute. Yeah, so it's still a pretty much range, but to give you orientation, our medium and high speed fillers that are, for example, now very important during COVID crisis are 400 a minute, even 500 a minute. And when you go to syringes and cartridges, even 600 a minute. Right. So you see that the small batch is really in that area, 5 to 60 roughly. I think there's no norm saying that, but this is what you would say in an industry context. Yeah.
Right. And why has small batch filling become so topical then at this moment? Because I know it's been, there's a lot of presentations on it.
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
Syntegon launched some new products around it. So why
Yeah.
has it become so important?
Yeah, so it's been in the marketplace for a long time, or already with small rotary fillers and so on, that's for sure. But now that we are entering or have entered the biotech arena with, let's say, personalized medicine, overall, you do not have the one size fits all drug anymore. You have more targeted patient groups and so on, and this leads overall to smaller batch sizes. Yeah, so that you do not have the one size fits all drug with millions and millions of doses, but smaller batch sizes. And the smaller batch sizes lead and more flexible. because you need maybe other filling systems. So the peristaltic pump is very strong now these days. You need single-use filling systems, and due to the smaller batch sizes, customer want to combine different containers on one machine. So having a flexibility regarding filling systems, but also regarding container sizes and container kind of container. Yeah. So you want to have then syringes, vials, cartridges on one machine platform. Yeah, and not 3 different lines. Yeah. So this is because when you have small batches, you do not have to run all the time the machine. So you can combine it, doing this week the vials, maybe next week the syringes on one machine, and that reduces total cost of ownership then for sure. Yeah.
Well, that's quite interesting. So that leads on to my next question, actually, because obviously since lockdown and everyone has gone more digital, but also they've gone more automation as well. So how has the use of robotics impacted small batch filling, and how will it impact it for the future?
Yeah, so maybe we have to make one step back, and this is in our business is keeping the operator, the human being, out of the pharmaceutical process is key for getting quality. So like the isolators is one solution for that, for sure, the wrap systems as well. But now with the robots, you can do things you do by hand these days. Yeah, when by hand I mean via glove systems, like inserting stoppers or let's say installing the filling path at the beginning of your campaign. So these are routine procedures, or settle plate handling. Yeah, when you change the settle plates, this is done. This is routine work and has to be done via gloves. With a robot now, you have the opportunity to do that fully automatic and keep people out of the pharmaceutical process. And also for non-routine process, maybe troubleshooting and so on. I think we are at the beginning there, but I personally can see it already at the horizon. And the interesting thing is that, for example, Rick Friedman, the deputy director of FDA, said that again during ISPE annual meeting in March this year, that the robotics give you really an opportunity to go there and producing better quality, keeping the human being out of the process. Yeah.
Yeah, and is keeping the human being out of the process also because to keep it sterile and to make sure that it prevents contamination?
Exactly, because the source of contamination is the human being. That's it is like that. Yeah, so it's
Okay, so you mentioned isolators. So will gloveless isolators become a kind of standard as well?
I think that's really good question, Rizwan. I think it's not 100% clear, but from my impression, because this is what really is going on at the moment, we are also with our Versynta micro batch, we are addressing first time for Syntegon the gloveless isolator, and so there's a lot of going on. And but from my impression in that biotech high-cost drug context, I think their gloveless isolator could be a standard in the future. I think there are still things to solve, to prove, but midterm, long term, I think that will be a standard in a certain area. Maybe not for all production lines, but for that part dealing with that small batch, flexible fillers, biotech drugs, high cost drugs. I think there I could imagine that will be a standard in the future. Yeah, but still some work to go. Yeah,
right. Yeah, because you said there were some sort of challenges there, though. So what challenges are there to make sure that it becomes a bit more standard?
When you look a little bit deeper into robotics, you see that it's perfect for doing always the same task, repeating the same task. But then you come into you enter an area where you have to combine it maybe with camera systems, and then it's getting, or let's say, gripping things like a plastic bag or so, where the shape is not really clear, like when you have a defined metal piece or so. And then you have to, the robot needs more intelligence, needs eyes on it. And so I think what I've seen on seminars and so on, I think that is all solvable, but it's not that easy as you have putting, let's say, one container from here to there, always the same shape, always the same spot. But the potential is definitely there from my point of view.
Brilliant. Okay. Now, another big thing which has been happening over the last year or so is the rise of ready-to-use packaging. So how has that affected the industry?
From my point of view, I might be a little bit biased because I'm in that field, deeply in that field. There's a big influence, because when you go way back, you've had maybe the ampule. You do not have even a stopper. You just put it on the machine. Now you have a huge variety of containers themselves. And the outer packaging brings for us as machine builders additional complexity, because you have to deal with the outer packaging as well. And but going a little bit back to this container itself, you have the syringes, you have the vials, but now it's coming. You will get plastic vials. You have a wide range of plastic syringes in the meanwhile. Some of them silicone-free. Therefore you need special stoppers. The stoppers have to be brought to the machine as well. So a lot of challenges, and we see the new press-on caps, for example, for the vial closing, and all that has to be filled and processed, ideally on one machine, or at least on a platform, and this brings a lot of tasks for us, and still there are new things evolving. I'm working in the ISO committee to bring some harmonization together with the colleagues there into, but as you can imagine, it's a huge industry and people are always thinking of new stuff, new things, great things, that they are all well accepted in the market. And so I think that is a continuous, I wouldn't say battle, but a continuous task.
Challenge maybe would be the word.
Challenge, yeah, that challenge would be the right English word. Maybe we in German, we are thinking more a little bit and would say could be also a problem sometimes. yeah, but it's really interesting, and you have to deal then not only with the container itself, but also with the nest, with the bag, with the tub. And also the introduction process into the sterile area is also really challenging, especially when you have to deal with a broad variety of different outer packaging.
Oh, that's really interesting. Right. So let's get back to small batch filling. So what will we see more standardization or off-the-shelf solutions?
Yeah. I think at least when I think what we are doing with our, we call it Versynta, FFP, the flexible filling platform, and the micro batch. The micro batch is then the gloveless isolator. We are heading in this direction, to doing more standardization, having really modules with defined shapes and defined, how should I put it? You have the robots always at the same spot. The filling station is always at the same spot, and when I could show you a layout, you would immediately recognize how the patterns are, and the patterns are harmonized with the isolator and the sealing and the laminar flow, and that all helps. So far, our business is still also influenced by very individual customer-specific specifications.
Sure.
And normally these need some engineering within the order that adds some time, that adds some complexity. And I think for that small batch filling, and we need also fast delivery times. And for fast delivery times, saying 9 months, maybe even 6 months, you need a kind of standardization, because if if you customize it each time, we will still do customizing, I think. But then maybe you are at the second path and saying this is done maybe then in 12 or 18 months.
Sure.
But when you go fast track, I think then standardization will be the solution. And from the conversations I have with customers, they are thinking in the same direction and saying, maybe we can waive the one or another special requirement that we have and getting other benefits for that, like faster delivery time, faster commissioning, faster validation, even easier and faster training for my people, because if everything is always the same, I can start with training videos, maybe right from the start and so on. So these are the ideas we are developing at the moment.
Well, that's interesting. You just mentioned training. So in terms of training, because of the situation we're in lockdown, and I know it varies from different parts of the world, how are you able to train people when they get the systems in place?
Okay. Yeah, I was, frankly spoken, not yet involved in that, but I know that we are doing a lot of FAT, so factory acceptance tests with video. And I could imagine we can do a training video. Actually, I started a little bit on YouTube, LinkedIn with stopper setting videos and so. And I think if you have always the same setup, it's worth to do it really intensively and then put it on a platform, and it applies for maybe 10 customers then. And it's not so specific, and they recognize, oh yeah, that's like my machine here. And then you can do a video, maybe live, maybe you record it, and then you can put it into a platform. Yeah. So I think we've learned so much, as you said, during that lockdown and doing. I attended, for example, a video session for our machines, also via FaceTime, to instruct the people a little bit where they should focus. I'm living 2 or 3 kilometers from the site here, so in former times people would have said, "Are you lazy or what?" Yeah, please come here and tell me. No? But now it was not possible, so we have chosen that way, and it works. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. So one final question about small batch filling then. So will we see scale out instead of scale up?
Yeah, that's another interesting question. We have a lot of things, but I think we are about to shape the future right now, and it's not 100% clear. When you look at some presentations, like from Markus Stübchen from Roche at ISPE, there is a very nice slide inside where he shows that scale out thought. So leveraging, especially that what I have just said, having always the same machine, and instead of saying, okay, now I need that, we are talking in filling heads pretty often, like a big machine has maybe 10 heads, a small has 1 or 2 heads. So instead of going then from 1 head to 5 head or to 10 head, saying, okay, I take that 1 or 2 head machine and multiply it and put it maybe in a network over different sites, or at least different buildings. And so this is the idea. I'm not sure if that will work out, because you still have to think about, we need a lot of clean room space also around the machine and so on. So yeah, it will be very interesting. And also I've heard, but I'm not the specialist for that, you have to consider some things like you have to retain some samples of the batch you did. And if you have smaller batches and you multiply, maybe instead of 10 samples, you have 10 times 10 samples, and that reduces the yield. So I think maybe people, or let's say the whole community, has to think a little bit more about, if we want to go that path, what do we have to solve, and what do we have to do for that. But I think the thought is tempting, because you can really streamline many things, because you can just order number 2, number 3, number 4, and everybody knows what is coming. People are prepared, operators are prepared. So I like the thought. Let's see how it will work out.
Well, that's really interesting. And when you said scale out and saying having them at different sites, though, the one thing which struck me was that because of the whole, we talk a lot about digital labs and digital automation. So if they are at different sites, will it be possible in the future to have them all connected as well? So you could have things working at the same time.
Yeah. There I have to say I've not yet enough experience, but what I at least read in books and newspapers, that will be the future. But on the other hand, I think what I'm also reading and what we all experience is that also the what is it, cyber security?
Yeah, sure.
I think this has to be solved, because it's for sure really sensible or sensitive data. Yeah, but I think what I have a colleague who is dealing with that. Maybe we should go for an interview with him as well. He could bring you interesting things on the table, I think. But I think that will be the future. Yeah, when the digitalization and machines talking to each other and leveraging the data and saying, hey, the same machine is doing here 80% yield. Here we have 90% yield. What's the difference? What is common? What is different there? Can we bring there more productivity or so? That could be questions I think could be addressed here now.
Fantastic. Well, Klaus, I know that's all we've got time for. So I know you do lots of events as well, and there's lots of information. So where can people get more information, and where can they see you? Because I know you're always, you would have been on the road if we weren't in lockdown, but you're not on the road. You're on your laptop switching from one virtual event to another. Sometimes sometimes like me, say 2 or 3 virtual events in the same week and presenting at them. So where can people get more information? Where can they see you where are you presenting in the near future?
Yeah, thank you. But first of all, let me say I'm really grateful overall. I have to say that I can do my work from home. Yeah, so that's I'm really grateful that I can do it and that it works so well. And so we will have a virtual event in end of June where you can apply for. We will start marketing that via LinkedIn shortly. I will be, if possible, at the PDA Universe of Prefilled Syringes. That's the big syringe conference. Will be in
Gothenburg.
Gothenburg.
It's November, isn't it? I think there's quite a way to go.
I think it's early October even.
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah, sure.
And ISPE annual meeting, though that will be in Boston, I think, this year. That will be these 3 events, our own event. The event in June will be still online, virtual. I think I will be in the company and present the machine and so on. And we have invited customers for presentations. And then the other and maybe other events are coming up. And yeah, let's see if we can do things face to face or hybrid. I'm pretty optimistic, seeing now that the vaccination is really rising, and
Right, and there's stuff on your website as well for where people can get more information.
Thank you, Rizal. For sure, we have created a microsite even for that small batch filling, what we call now, or bundled under the name of Versynta. And for sure, anybody can contact me or contact us via our website or through the channels, the Syntegon people she or he knows. And we are more than willing to make dedicated webinars. And there will be still a webinar in I think, beginning of May about small batch filling. We've had one yesterday. It was in the afternoon, addressing Europe and the US. And the other one will be in the morning, I think, beginning of May. It will also be announced via LinkedIn, and that will be in the morning. So for the eastern part of the world, and also for the early birds in Europe.
Right, fantastic. Well, we'll put the links up to those any upcoming events that you've got, and obviously to the microsite as well above the video.
Thank you, Rizwan.
So it's lovely to see you. As I said, genuinely, it was fascinating. What I love doing these interviews is that I'm constantly learning new things, and it's very interesting to hear people talk about what the future is and how things are developing within pharma as well. So thank you very much for taking time out. Good luck with all your upcoming events and presentations as well. Hopefully we can catch up face to face in the not too distant future.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rizwan. Thank you so much for having me.
No, it's lovely to see you. And as I said, I wish you a lot of success this year. And I hope you have a fantastic time. So thank you everybody for watching. If you've got any questions for Klaus, he's very active on LinkedIn just as much as I am, so you can send him a message on LinkedIn. He'll be happy to answer your questions. Check out the links above as well, and there will be details on the upcoming webinar, as well as the Syntegon only event, and obviously there will be the PDA event and ISPE events, which will be later in the year, which hopefully will be live or hybrid, or may just be still virtual. Who knows what the future holds, but hopefully it'll be positive. So until next time, as always, stay well and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Thank you, Rizwan.